Right, where did you start? Could be different for each person. I can think of two good places to start. On this particular one, there's one super obvious place to start, which is what? Guys, when like I look at this 40 and that's right in an angle, right? So I would look at the questions and see if that's one of them. And it is, right? Which number? Like which problem number, I mean?
What?
No.
Problem number?
Yeah, problem number. Like, 1, 2, 3. It's 2, right? So I think it feels like we need to kind of review this. But remember, for an angle, that's the angle that the 40 is in. How do we name angles? Like, remember the vertex of the angle where you draw the arc mark is the center letter, the middle letter. So O is where the vertex is, and then we trace the two arms, or think through the two arms of the angle, AOB, right? That's that angle. So is that on our list? AOB? Yeah, it's number 2. So that one was basically given, as long as you know how to read an angle. So that one would be probably the most obvious place to start. And then this is supposed to be arc. So arc AB is just right here. What kind of angle is the 40? That's a central angle. Okay, so we trace that out to its arc. What's true about arcs and central angles? They're equivalent or congruent, right? So we can copy 40 right there, and that's arc AB. Okay, from there, probably becomes a little bit more open in terms of what you do. But I would start noticing all these arc measures all around and see if I can start filling some in. And then worry about where that is on the questions. Like this one is just begging to be figured out to me. Yeah.
I got it.
You got arc JC?
Mm-hmm.
How?
Well, I noticed that the circle was split in half.
Okay.
And the whole thing makes up 360. So that means that both of the sides are both 180. So then I subtracted 37, 13, 30, and 58 from 180.
Good.
And I got 42.
Degrees, and what is that called? Like in our list, we have to go fill that out.
It's arc JC.
Good. All right, that was helpful. Good job. So definitely, I should have probably started with saying this, but always look for diameters because those can be super helpful and they're easy to miss. So you'll need to use diameters in your circle of doom quiz. Okay? So good job. Can we do that again? Like now I have almost all of the circle filled out except for this piece. So can we do that again? Okay? How?
180 minus 55 minus 40.
Okay. And I don't think DG is on here.
It is.
Oh. There it is. Yep. Sweet. That looks like 6. Okay, so now we have all the arcs figured out. So now you start looking for angles, either inscribed, maybe they're secant, maybe they're central, depending on the problem. You start looking for things that intercept these arcs that we have. Okay, so here's one. Actually, let's do colors. That. arc we just figured out of 85, those two intercept that arc. Let me write 85 right here. What kind of situation are those two green lines? Tangent and chord. So this is tangent chord. What kind of angle? That angle is on the circle. So what kind of angle is that? That's inscribed. Okay? So this is inscribed to the 85. What do we do with the 85? Yep. So, what's the name of that angle before I go write it? KDG or GDK. We'll have to look which one it is, but K7. Yeah. So 42.5 degrees. And I think it's helpful to put that in here. You may never need it again, but you might. It might be helpful to have. Okay. From there, I don't know where you want to go next, but anybody have a preference? Okay. Well, I see this on that 85 as well. So even though this line from D to G is there, it's this arc DG is still intercepted by that angle. What kind of angle is DBG? Kind of angle. So remember, to answer that, you say, where is it? Is it in the center, on the circle, inside or outside? It's on. What kind of angles are on? Inscribed. So what is true about that DBG and this arc right here? It's inscribed, so it's half of that arc, right? Good. This one says, that's not it, there it is, number 4. So 42.5. Again, go put it in the picture. You never know, and that might be helpful later on. And it may never be, but at least it's there when you need it. All right, where would you go next? Good strategy, you might just kind of work your way around and see if there are any angles intercepting the arc. So like this arc, I see this big line, but nothing else connects over to the end, right? Like I can't make this jump. That's not okay. So probably 55 isn't going to work. Okay, 40, we already got that angle. How about this one? Do any inscribed or any angles intersect that one? No? Okay, 30. Well, it actually does have, I don't know that we'll need it, but let me just point this out. So 30 is intersected by this angle. Oops, wrong color. By that angle. And then this whole thing for that angle. Nope, I went too far. Sorry. No. That. So, do you see these two lines cutting out that whole green arc? Okay. So those are secant angles, or what we wrote in our notes as secant angles. Could we use those to find either of those? Now, they're not named, but I'm just kind of previewing your circle of doom, right? If those were named, how would you find like the pink angle? Or the green? They're both the same. How would you? If we had to. Look on your notes if you don't know. This is not on the circle now, it's inside. So look at your interior angles.
Isn't it like the equation for which is like measure of one of the angles, like times 1/2, parentheses, measure of like arc, for example, JB plus measure of arc CE?
He's got it, right? So it's plus, so green arc plus pink arc times 1/2. That would give you either one of those, We know the angles are congruent, even though the arcs are not. So 1/2 the green plus the pink gives you those two. Okay, that's going to be used on your circle of doom for some of them. Now this one didn't have that, but it's good to know how to do it. Okay. How about this angle? Or this arc, I mean, and that angle. Do you see a relationship? What kind of angle is, well, what's the name of the green dot angle? DGI or IGD, either one. And what kind of angle is that? Inscribed to 37. So what do we do with 37? Just divide it by 2. So I DGI. 8. So half of 37 is 18.5. Put it in there. Okay. And then since I'm just happen to be up here looking at that one, how about that? Do these intercept an arc? Yeah, it's this arc right here. So what kind of angle is the red dot angle? It's still inscribed. Circle of Doom is going to be similar. There's a lot of this kind. I mean, it's more of other kind of stuff, but this one's lots of inscribed. Inscribed to how much? How much is that arc that I highlighted? Well, just add these up, right? So 58 and 42 is 100. 130, 143. So what's half of that? Okay. What's the name of that arc, or that angle, excuse me? IGB? Isn't that on here somewhere? IGB.
There's GIB.
Is that the same? Okay. Oh, I did all that for nothing. Okay. Why am I writing them in here? Can you think of a reason that might be helpful down the road?
Because it shows you which angles you've already
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. It shows you what you've already done. Here's another reason. There's a whole bunch of triangles in here, right? And you might just use the fact that this is a triangle to solve for one of the angles, perhaps. I'm not saying we will in this one, but don't forget that that's part of geometry, right? There could be 180-degree triangles too. Go ahead.
I'm noticing that like those two angles add up to 90.
These two do?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes sense because those are.
You can bring that 90 down to angle DCB.
Awesome.
Because it's supplementary.
Good, guys. So we have this angle and that angle are opposites in this big quadrilateral. So they're supplementary. Also, DCB is inscribed to that diameter that I highlighted. So DCB is 90. DCB, there it is. Okay. Maybe for now, just to finish up, let's start looking at actual ones instead of just picking. Okay? So BDK. BD. Where am I missing K? Thank you. Let me highlight it. BDK. What kind of situation is that?
Tangent.
Tangent radius, which is what? Perpendicular or 90, good. Alright, so BDK is 90. Maybe put that in there in case it's useful. Okay, GDB. 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 Okay, well, here's a good example of why it was nice to write the 42.5, because we just showed that this whole thing is 90. How do you get this piece, the red dot angle? Good, just subtract 42.5 to get what?
47.5.
Okay, next on our list, DJE. DJE, okay, that one. How are we going to find it? Well, what kind of angle is it, first of all? It's inscribed, so probably looking for an arc, right? Well, here's what I would suggest. Looking for, like extending those lines, we're looking for that whole arc. So just add all these guys up. Can you do that, Bailey? Let's see, 98, 55, and 85. Or actually just do 180 plus 58. So what is that, 238? Okay. So this angle is what compared to the 238? It's just half. So DJE. That's right, 119.
Yeah, 119.
Okay, GIB. There it is. GIB. Okay. What kind of angle is GIB? Inscribed to this arc right here. How big is it? 95. What do we do with the 95 to get GIB? Half. So 47.5. All right, you kind of getting a rhythm on this now? JEB. Same situation. It intercepts that whole arc. Inscribed to 180 plus 37. So 7. So 217.
Yeah.
And then split it in half. Which is what? Good. IBC, isn't that a root beer? IBC, where are you? C?
At the bottom.
Okay. So it's just a lot of inscribes for now. Half of 55. Everybody see that? We're just adding those two together, so half of 55. EBC. EB. Oh, that's a weird little one. EBC. Half of 30. DBI. DB. There it is. DBI. Okay, half of what? 37. Which is what? And two more. BDC. BDC. Okay, what does that intercept? Arc CB, so 88. What's half of 88? 44. And DBC. DB. Didn't we already do that one? That's not. Half of that group. So that makes 50, 92. Half of 92. How'd you do? Just working through this with you on here for your quiz, I think if you have access to something like an iPad, that would be super helpful, right? Because look how helpful it is to highlight and then be able to clear that so it's fresh again. Can you do that is there any online interface that you can highlight and then remove? Do you know, like if you upload a document?
There's an app on, like, if you have an iPhone, I know there's an app on it.
Okay.
You can do that. I don't know about, like, Android, so.
Yeah, I bet they're, oh. Yeah, Android, I bet, okay, if you have Android, you could take a picture of this and use the edit and just do like a markup with your finger and then clear and then do it again.
Yeah, iPhone you can do that too.
Okay. So just thinking through this, that might be super helpful to do. Just because it helps you see what arcs and stuff that's being intersected. So I'll recommend that for sure.